What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. And over the final 3 minutes of the first half, the Thunder close it out on an 18-5 run. Kind of an extension of what we saw at the end of the first quarter. Alex Caruso, but also J-Dub during the stretch doing some great work, battling for position against Nikola Jokic, denials, poor post entries, forcing turnovers, run-out dunks, and it basically ended the game in a 3-minute stretch there. So if you look at the first half in general, for out of the 24 minutes, 2/3 of it, Denver looked completely in control. Methodical half-court basketball, getting and making better shots. But in these short bursts, spanning just 8 minutes of game clock, the Thunder just completely dominate the game, and Denver's never able to regain control from there. There's some reality to the difficulty of dealing with ball pressure guards. Any of you guys who've played basketball and are kind of a bigger player, you'll have some experience with this over the years where, like, a ball pressure guard will just get up in your business, and he's swiping at the ball and grabbing and clawing and doing all that stuff. And what you have to do is you've got to create space. And the only way to create space is to protect the ball, clear with your elbow, clear with your shoulder, use your hips, use pivot moves, trying to clear out space against a smaller player. And it becomes a very delicate balance because most guards just naturally get a form of bias from officials because they're smaller. And so they just get away with more contact. And if you swing that elbow just right, even though his face is like right here in your personal space, the ref's going to call that an offensive foul. And so I was talking about it on Twitter earlier today. It's like a form of gamesmanship in the same way that foul drawing guards like what Shea does or Jalen Brunson does or Austin Reeves does, in the same way that those guys grift their way to the foul line on offense, there are defensive players who grift extra possessions by doing that sort of thing. Ball pressure, ball pressure, ball pressure. And what they do is they train themselves as soon as they get any sort of contact above the shoulders, they just flop back and they're going to get a call. And it's just complicated dealing with ball pressure. And it is what makes this Thunder defense so incredibly difficult to deal with is you survive the Dort J-Dub phase, and here comes Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso. They're probably even better at it than the first two guys are. And so it's just wave after wave. Aaron Wiggins gets in on the action too. It's just wave after wave after wave of big physical guard that's going to get in your business and be aggressive and physical, and the refs aren't going to be able to call every foul, and they do some gamesmanship at their own, and it just is a overwhelming wave after wave of force on the defensive end that wears you down. And that's how Oklahoma City won the series. Ultimately, they won this series with their defense. Looking forward for OKC, I thought they showed a lot of growth throughout the series. Denver had them on the ropes 3 different times in games that they ended up winning, just because they stuck to their identity and trusted that it would eventually carry them across the finish line. And it literally did. It took longer in Game 4. It took longer in Game 5. But eventually they did wear down Denver's offense. Eventually they couldn't score the ball. Eventually their downhill force did break through the barrier that was Denver's defense. Alex Caruso won you a playoff series. I don't think you win this series without Alex Caruso. I thought that was a really interesting thing in retrospect, looking back at that trade. I hope Chicago's enjoying Josh Giddey. But Alex Caruso is a veteran role player who came in, the only rotation player on this team over the age of 26, and his ability to consistently knock down spot-up threes in this series, while also being a guy that not only was defending Jamal Murray extremely well at stretches, but was also doing a great job on Nikola Jokic for stretches. You could argue he was the best defender that Denver used on Nikola Jokic in this series. Just unbelievable output from a player that they brought in during the summer. Isaiah Hartenstein, by the way, too, the job that he did on Jokic guarding his strong hand, like the trades made this summer by Sam Presti to bring in Alex Caruso, the decision to sign Isaiah Hartenstein, they literally gave this team a championship ceiling that would have been cut off at the knees right here in the second round. They would not have beat the Denver Nuggets had they brought last year's team back. So shout out to Sam Presti for those moves.